Hi, I'm Roger and welcome back to the Tractor Tech channel. I want to tear into this pile of logs today and get as much of it cut up into firewood as I can. With my setup, I'm not sure how much I'm going to be able to cut before I have to start splitting. I want to get an early start this morning, but I had something unexpected come up. So getting a late start, it's like 12 o'clock now. I'm actually just shooting the intro and then I may go eat lunch. Not sure what I'm going to do yet. I'm going to cut some by myself. I'm not sure if my dad's going to help. I'm going to cut out of the Titan log grapple today. Try that some more, see how that works. Since I'm going to be cutting by myself, one thing that's going to slow me down is I'm going to have about 3 pieces of wood that I won't be able to cut because it's going to be held in the grapple still. So I'm not sure what I'm going to do with that, if I'll throw them to the side and cut them all when I'm done, or what to do. Because if I had a helper, I could just lay them on the ground, and while I was getting the next log, they could cut that up, so they'd constantly be busy. Then I know you guys always like to know what tools I'm using for the job I'm doing. So today I'm going to be running my MS660 clone saw. I want to run it just a little bit more today, and then after that I'm going to tear it back down and put a new wrist pin bearing, or Steel calls it a piston pin bearing, I think is what they actually call it. I'm going to tear it down and put that in it sometime. That'll be like the last upgrade for that saw. But I have this old 064. I don't know if I really like this saw, so after I run it today, if I don't care for it, I'm probably going to end up selling it. And then I brought 2 saws for my dad to use, a Steel 034 Super and an MS261 M-Tronic. Then a steel can hook in case you need it. Steel can hook's really nice, it's lightweight. I have a video on that in comparison to a Northern tool. I'll put that up in the cards. Then you may notice that I always put the saws in a wagon. Saws are 200-250 feet away from the log pile, so it's a lot of stuff to carry. The next reason is I like to have everything in this wagon. When I get done cutting, I always try to put the saws back in the wagon. That way they're in the wagon, and the wagon's really big to see with the tractor, so that way you don't have a saw sitting on the ground to run over top of. Then the last reason I do it is if somebody were to get hurt while you're working, you could throw your tools in here real quick and put them in the garage. You wouldn't be running around trying to gather things up or have to leave several hundreds or thousands of dollars worth of saws sitting outside. Alright, so this video probably isn't going to turn out exactly like I wanted it to. I had my main camera set up, then I had a camera I was going to put in the tractor to get shots of picking the logs up. Then I was going to have a camera on the saw and on myself for like a first person point of view. But things didn't... This video didn't turn out exactly like I wanted it to. This video didn't turn out exactly like I wanted it to. I had my main camera set up. Then I had another camera that I was going to put in the tractor, and then a camera that I was going to put on a saw and on myself for like a first person point of view. But I didn't have as much time to cut as I wanted to. Last night, I cleared this area out to have room to do the cutting, to have a fresh start for this morning. And I was going to start cutting about 10 o'clock this morning, and we got a phone call that one of our customers' lawnmowers was having problems. The deck wouldn't engage. Me and my dad went over and put a Band-Aid on that. Then it was like about lunchtime, so I decided to eat lunch, which was 12 o'clock. Decided to eat lunch. Ate lunch. Shortly after that, somebody wanted to come and get wood. Not complaining about any of this stuff. I was glad to sell the load of wood. Sold the guy a load of wood. Just about done loading it up. Got a phone call from the neighbor. Somebody was cutting wood at her place and got stuck on a stump, and she wanted me to bring the tractor up, and I already had the ballast on the back of the tractor. Really don't want to run up the road with the heavy ballast on the 3-point hitch. Had the log grapple on there, and I wasn't sure where they were, so I decided to take the expedition up there and see if I could pull it out. My dad went with me, and we got up there. It was one heck of a mess. The guy was on a really steep hill, and it was all fill dirt where he was anyway, so it was really loose. It's been really dry here too, so it was like chalk dust kind of, really slick. And he was on a 2-wheel drive GMC pickup. He had a trailer behind it, and he was up around the top of the hill moving around, and the truck started spinning. He didn't want to tear up the yard, so he decided to back up, and the truck started sliding down the hill with him. The trailer jackknifed. He tore the side of the truck up, the bumper, the tail light, the truck bed, the door, and he even damaged, that was on the left side, he even damaged the right side of it some too. And the truck came to a stop on a stump and was resting on the spare tire. So I came back home and got a saw and cut the stump off, and then was able to easily pull the truck up over the hill. They already had the trailer unhooked when we got there. So we're done cutting wood for the day now. This video is not going to turn out exactly like I wanted it to. I want to make a really nice video. I had my main camera set up on the tripod to get a shot, which is what most of the footage is going to be from. Then I had a camera that I was going to mount on the saw, which I did get a little bit of footage with that camera, I think. And then I was going to switch that camera onto myself. And then I had another camera that I was going to put in the tractor, but I was really cut short on time when we were cutting, so I didn't have time to do that. When you really get to setting up cameras, it really takes a lot of time to do that, and really slows you down when you're doing something like this. I had this area cleared out last night. There's some vehicles. There was a customer's tractor and trailer sitting here, and I moved I had everything moved but the tractor and trailer, which I moved this morning. About 10 o'clock I was ready to start cutting wood, and we got a phone call that one of our customers' mowers, that the deck wouldn't engage on it. So me and my dad went over and put a Band-Aid on it so that she could get her grass mowed today. And then came home. I shot the intro for this video, and it was about lunchtime, so I thought I'll go ahead and eat lunch so that way I'm not starting to work and then a few minutes later stopping to eat lunch. So I'll just eat lunch and tear into the wood after that. Ate lunch, and I don't know, maybe done for a few minutes. I was taking a little bit of a break, and some guy wanted some firewood, so got him loaded up, or just about loaded up, and my neighbor called. somebody was up at her place cutting firewood, and they were stuck on a stump, and she wanted me to bring the tractor up. I already had the grapple on the tractor and the ballast on the tractor at this time. The grapple was put on the tractor last night to be ready for today. And I didn't really want to run the tractor up the road with the ballast on there, which I could have dropped it off in a couple seconds, but I've got an old Expedition that's a beater vehicle. Really don't want to go running it through the woods and scratching it all up and beating it to death, but I'm not afraid to go in the woods with it, really. So I took it up there, and they weren't even in the woods. They were like in her yard, close to the woods. And the guy was up in the yard with the trailer behind the two-wheel drive GMC, and the truck got to spinning on him, so he decided to back up and reposition himself or something so he wouldn't tear up the grass. And when he started backing up, the truck slid down over this really steep bank, and the bank was fill dirt, so it was only like a couple years old, so it was still loose. Plus it's been really dry here, so the dirt's like real powdery, so there's no traction whatsoever. And then to make matters worse, the truck was two-wheel drive, and the rear tires were just about bald on it. I mean, completely bald. They were really bad. And the trailer jackknifed, tore the bumper, the taillight, the bedside. It was an extended cab truck. I think it got the extended cab door and the driver's side door a little bit. And I think it busted the mirror. I don't know if the mirror was already busted on it or not. And then there was a little bit of damage even on the passenger side of it. So it really messed the truck up bad. And he already had the trailer unhooked when we got there. My dad went with me. So the truck was resting on a stump. The spare tire hit a stump is what stopped it all. So if he hadn't hit that stump, I don't know, it may have even done more damage to the truck, might have been worse. So we decided the best thing to do was to cut the stump off. And the guy had like this $50 or $100 home light chainsaw, this junk saw. So I came down here and got my MS660 clone saw and the 034 Super, because sometimes that clone saw is a little bit finicky about starting. I took it up there, it started up, cut the stump off from underneath the truck while they picked up on it with the neighbor's tractor. She has a little Kubota B series, it's an older one. So it wouldn't really pick the truck up much, but it took some weight off. And we had blocks of wood behind the truck so it wouldn't run over top of me. Plus I was watching what I was doing anyway, trying to keep myself clear of the path of the truck in case it did roll. And I hooked the Expedition onto it and pulled it up over the bank without a problem. Oh, and before lunch, the customer came to get his tractor and trailer. And I always like to help people, like when they've got a trailer, hook up to the trailer, just be courteous and do that for them. So after all that happened, I think it was finally 4 o'clock when I got down here to start cutting wood. And by that time, my dad was free to start helping me too. And I'm not complaining about all that stuff because I don't regret going over and helping that lady with her mower, helping that guy hook up to his trailer. I was glad to sell the firewood, and that guy needed help getting his truck off the stump and pulled up over the bank, and I really felt sorry for him for tearing his truck up like that. But at the same time, I don't know why you would take a two-wheel drive truck in a place like that. Anyway, got back here and decided to run my clone saw, which I used to cut the stump off. Went to start it, had a heck of a time getting it started. The thing, for some reason, flooded. It's, like I mentioned earlier, it's real finicky. So got it going, or no, I gave up on it. I thought I'll run the 064. And both of those saws, when I gassed them up last night, had the saws in the wagon last night that I showed at the beginning of the video, had them gassed up, started them all to make sure they'd all run. Went to start the 064, it wouldn't start either. It's, I don't know. I think my biggest issue is the clone saw, of course, is pretty much all Chinese parts. The 064 has a Chinese carb kit, and it seems like lately these Chinese carb kits have been giving me a lot of problem. I quit using them, but some of my saws still have the Chinese carb kits, and they just really have been causing me a lot of problems. The way the saws run, start, whatever. I think that's what's going on with both of these saws. Anyway, I gave up on the 064. I ran the MS261 some think I ran it out of gas. Then I picked up the 660 and finally got it running. And as I was jumping in and out of the tractor, I would shut it off every time and start it back up. And when I'd go to start it, I'd have to hold the throttle wide open. It wants to flood. So I guess the needle's not holding in the carb, I don't know. But it's going to get an OEM steel carb kit in it. After that, things were finally going pretty good. But like I said, it was 4 o'clock, and then messed with them saws, and I don't know, it was probably 4:30 or something by the time I actually got started cutting this wood. But once we got to cutting it, things went really, really good. I really, really love this log grapple. If you're messing with firewood, this thing is really, really nice. And depending even on what your grapple uses are, this grapple may do everything you need to do. It's so easy to pick up logs. Today, my dad ran out of gas. Then my 660 ran out of gas. So I drained the gas out of the 064 into my 660 and was going to finish up. Got it gassed up, filled the oil tank, went to start it, and the rope broke on it. Thought no big deal. Ran in the garage. I have a T27 torque screwdriver, grabbed that up, went to change the starter assembly, recoil starter off of the 064 onto the 660, and they're different. As much as those saws are alike, a lot of things are completely different on them. And I've heard that the ropes on those clone saws are not very good. So I need to put a rope on it now, carb kit, and get my piston pin bearing in it. Hopefully it'll be good then. But I do like running that saw. Has good power. Anyways, that's how things kind of go around here sometimes. That's why I have a hard time making videos. I have plans to make videos. Some weeks I'll have plans like to make 3 videos and I won't even get 1 made because things like that go like they did today. And I'm not complaining about that stuff. I was glad to help those people out. I was glad to sell a load of firewood today, but that's just how things go for me around here. That I was planning on starting to cut wood at 10 o'clock this morning, and 4 o'clock I started, and then all my saws started giving me problems. But we did really get a really good pile of wood cut, and there's just a little bit left to cut. If we could have had like another half hour to cut, but we're out of gas. And I thought about getting gas, but I know how things go around here. I thought if I go to the store and buy a gallon of gas, then it'll be sitting around a while and getting stale. So it's getting pretty late, so it's time to eat for me anyways again. Supper time now. So I will show you the wood that was cut today, and I will show you how much is left. There's going to be plenty of splitting coming up with the split second. Here's what was cut today. And this is where things finished up. This log here. And there's another piece of a log in there. My dad started cutting on this end, and then there's a piece up in there. My dad started cutting over on my side of it while I was gassing up the 660. So I just figured it was a good time to end the day since the rope broke on the saw and we were out of gas. No need in trying to go get gas. It's getting late. This is about 3 hours worth of work. But then some of it, like I say, was messing with the saws because they were being contrary today. The 034 Super ran perfect today though, and the MS261C ran perfect. It's really tough to beat an M-tronic saw. I'm thinking about getting rid of a bunch of my saws and just getting the MS500i steel when that comes out, the new fuel-injected steel, because I like big saws. Like when my dad was running the 034 Super, I could be finished cutting and he'd have another block or two with me running the 660. Even in something this size here, a bigger saw is so much better. I really like a 70cc or larger saw for cutting firewood. Now, when I did get into some smaller stuff, like this piece here, I had the 261 laying over there and I'd grab it up and I finished off what gas was in it. See, somebody cut a long piece there. And this is what's left. Probably another 30 minutes or so, because these small pieces like this, I mean, you can burn through them like nothing. Really, this is the only decent sized log, and it has a lot of butt swell. Once you get up about 3 feet, it gets smaller. So I don't know if Monday if I'll get to do some more cutting or not, get that wrapped up. Got some dull saws now. Need to blow the saws off, clean the air filters, and get them sharpened up and ready to go again. Thanks for watching this video. I hope you enjoyed it. If you did, please hit the like button and consider subscribing to my channel for more videos like this. If you're already subscribed, hit the bell to be the first to know about my new videos.